This is faith, and this is disbelief. Iman and kufr. This is islah, and this is ifsad. You are reforming this way, and this way you are causing corruption. The corruption you could call reform in a different philosophy. But the Quran is telling you, no, this is corruption. That's how we define corruption. And then it tells you, give you different kinds of corruption. The Quran is defining groups, is actually categorizing groups for you. Humanity is defined not according to basically straight and gay and whatever, and not according to Republican and Democrat or right and left. Or humanity is not defined this way, or black and white, or rich and poor. Humanity is defined according to believers, disbelievers, hypocrites, and people who don't know about Islam. This is humanity. And based on the definition of groups, you go and try to see what you're going to do with this, because you come from the believer's perspective. And yes, it's going to cause you all sorts of interesting discussions with people who classify the world in a different way. They classify the world into friends and enemies and terrorists, let's say. And that is how they define the world. And let us get into a discussion between the Islamic categories and how they define the world. The category that is called terrorists, the Quran has a methodology in defining groups. Where does it fit exactly? And how do we redefine terrorism? I'm not saying reject the definition of terrorism. I'm saying redefine it. Redefine terrorism, redefine development. We're going to redefine community welfare. We're going to redefine poverty, because the Quran defined it in a different way. From the $1 a day or the World Bank Index, these are disasters. This is companies trying to do some sales. But in Islam, that's not how we define poverty, and so forth. So the methodological objectives, and we're going to get into a long talk about how we reach to those, are realizing concepts, realizing objectives, the objective of realizing objectives. So that is تحقيق المقاصد. The maqsid, justice or good or mercy, is not put there for theory. It's put there for us to strive towards justice, towards truth, towards equity, towards balance, towards diversity. These are objectives, right? So the objective of realizing objectives, correcting concepts, classifying groups or categories, aligning with universal laws. As-Sunnah al-Ilahiyya is going to be one of our also usul, because it's very important in today's application of Islam to understand that Allah has created the world according to a particular number of sunnah. Those who took the course before with me, we had a little bit of that. But now we'll see how we apply that to research and how we can use the sunnah to have a guidance on how Allah created the human being and societies and so on. Following values, establishing proofs, and acting on commands. So there is a methodological objective of commands to be acted upon, for these commands to become actions. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala requires something or prohibits something, the objective here is for us to act. And therefore, the perception has to be coupled with action. And that is why in the levels of ijtihad, when we talk about scholarship, translate ijtihad as scholarship quite naughtily, but hopefully you don't mind that. So when you get into the ijtihad or the scholarship cannot be decoupled from action. Scholarship that we do here, I mean, other people could edit a manuscript or compare Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Hazm. That is a different institution. But here we're trying to apply the knowledge to the reality, right? And therefore, the acting on commands is one of the major, basically, parts of the conceptual framework that we're going to build. How to realize what you're saying. You come up with a great theory that if you're going to invite the youth to the masjid, you're going to be able to decrease the crime rate in a particular community, for example. The role of the masjid in criminal activities, or decreasing, rather. activate that? It's a nice theory, but how can we realize that in the reality on the ground? Is going to be part of your research, because you have to be practical. And therefore, we have 7 fundamentals of understanding, or elements of study. So when we study, we're going to look at these 7 elements. And the interaction between these elements is going to be a major part of our discussion here. The objectives, the concepts, the groups, the universal laws, the values, proofs, and commands. The proofs have to do with the logic of the Quran. And this is a tricky topic we're going to talk about, inshallah, and how to approach the Quran logically. What kind of proof, burhan, what are the barahin in the Quran? Al-Hujjaj. قل فإلله الحجة البالغة. Imam Shawaliullah Dahlawi, when he wrote a book of Maqasid al-Sharia, he called it Hujjatullah al-Baligha. He considered the Maqasid to be hujjaj, proofs in their own right. So there is a relationship here, the line between the objectives and the proofs. Because he considered that because the Quran has so much hikmah, so much wisdom, then it is a proof in its own right for Allah's existence, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and his wisdom and his power and so forth. So the interaction of these 7 elements is going to be a framework that you come up with as a methodology in order to apply your thought to the reality. And if you do that, you will find yourself as part of a network of levels of scholarship. And we're trying to build this network in Maqasid Institute in different parts of the world, and the IFSA program is a major part of it, that has to do with either fundamental studies scholarship, the level at the bottom there, the basic level of scholarship, what they call basic science in English, or fundamental scholarship, which is really what I'm presenting to you. It is an outcome of fundamental scholarship. We're dealing with the usul theories, or the scholarship, the roots of our research. And then we have a number of other levels. The reflective scholarship is really the scholarship that's concerned with the Quran and Sunnah. And therefore, when you approach the Quran and Sunnah with the cycles of reflection we are talking about, you are going to be part of a reflective scholarship network of people who are doing a form of ijtihad, or a form of scholarship that is collective, ijtihad jama'i, that you are applying yourself to a network of people who are trying to renew the understanding of the Quran and Sunnah according to this methodology. We have the phenomena studies scholarship, which is also at the core of this program, that each of you are going to choose a phenomenon that you deal with, whatever the phenomena is, a state of an organization, a state of a community, a state of even a particular person, a human being, a phenomena in the reality, and you apply your thought to that phenomenon through this methodology. That is going to put you in a network of phenomena studies. In fact, we are reconstructing the whole approach of the institution into a phenomena-based approach, so that we divide the students according to applications rather than according to the traditional sciences. And we have a vision to build a full university based on that. So basically, social justice as an area that describes a particular phenomenon would be a college in that particular university, or governance. That is no longer political science and economics and so forth, that is market bound and international indices bound. No, we're not going by the international indexes. We are going by the phenomena that the Ummah is suffering from or is needing, and how we can deal with these phenomena in order for the Ummah to move forward. And therefore, the Maqasid Action Network is another network that you could find yourself involved in, And if you go to maqasid.org, you will find a questionnaire that is called the Maqasid Research Network Questionnaire. Just fill out this questionnaire. This is not part of your research, but if you would like to be involved in a wider circle of researchers, look for maqasid.org and fill out the questionnaire of the Maqasid Research Network. And this is the structure of this network that we're trying to spread, so that we have a network of think tanks. One of them is starting with this graduate school here, that serve the Ummah and are oriented around phenomena. The phenomena, as I mentioned, of poverty, the phenomena of tyranny, and we're going to call them this way because that's how they are. There is no department for the study of tyranny anywhere, but tyranny is something that we suffer from as a movement. Political tyranny, big time, and economic tyranny, and so forth. Racism is a major problem in our movement, of course, us, others against us, but we need to study racism properly through an approach that is a holistic approach and multidimensional approach, so that we get rid of that through our values and through our ummah. This is not neoliberal kind of stuff. We don't equate different moral standards, and we don't classify people as they are in the neoliberal school. This is not Islamic. The Islamic approach here is how we can build a network of organizations that support the current social movements in the world. Social movements that are trying to change the status quo, because the status quo has to change. The